This is number one bullshit.
That's fucking illegal.
Yo, what's going on, guys? And welcome to Rum and Sports with me, Crozy. Episode 2, we are going to preview the UFC that's coming up. And we are going to look at all of the Champions League results that have just gone through yesterday. So stick with us, this should be fun. Peace. So let's start off with the event that I'm most excited about, which is UFC 268. UFC 267 was absolutely through the roof. It was bananas. And it's not like the UFC to have an event one week and then another pay-per-view within a week of that. That's a fascinating thing for the UFC to have. So I thought I'd go over this week's prelims and find out, you know, who I fancy, who I want to win, who I think is going to win, who's making their debut, who's not. So the very first fight on the prelims is Iangary versus Jordan Williams, which is two unknown fighters to me. Iangary is 0-0, has a 0-0 record, and Jordan Williams has a 9-5 record. My guess is this is Iangary's pro debut. He's not made. Looking at his record, I can't find any research on him. I can't find anything on him to identify that he's fought more. So I don't have a clue who's going to win that fight, but I'm looking forward. I always look forward to seeing new people. UFC prelims is where I saw Conor McGregor for the first time, and everybody loves Conor McGregor. So I'm a big fan of the prelims because it's where they keep their younger fighters, the up-and-coming fighters, the people who haven't necessarily earned the right to get on a pay-per-view card. So I'm big excited about these prelims, even though they're quiet, because this Iangary might be the next Conor McGregor, might be the next Khabib Nurmagomedov. You never know where the up and coming fighters are going to end up. Fight 2 on the prelims is Edmund Shabazz versus Nuruddin Imanov. The beautiful thing about UFC is it's such a worldwide company that the name pronunciations can be tough. Imanov is unranked, Shabazz is ranked 11th. One thing you don't usually see in the UFC is people who are ranked fighting unranked fighters. It's very surprising. My guess is Imanov must be coming up to the top 10. He must be coming up towards, you know, fighting at a top 10 level, because with Edmund Shabazz being at 11th, I'm very surprised that, you know, an unranked fighter is jumping into a kind of a ranked fight. You would have thought Chamzat would have got a ranked fighter by now. There are plenty of fighters out there you thought could be ranked, should be ranked, and maybe should be fighting ranked fighters. But I think Shabazz will beat him. I've been impressed with Shabazz in his last couple of fights, so I'm gonna go for Edmund Shabazz. I'm not sure how he'll finish. I think it'll go to decision. There we go. Edmund Shabazz by decision. Next up, a third fight on the card is Philip Hawes versus Chris Curtis. Now, Chris Curtis was a weird one because on the UFC website, I'll pop a photo on down below here, he's in black and white. I don't understand why he's in black and white. Every other person on the website is in colour, but weirdly enough, Chris Curtis is black and white. It's kind of like he's not important enough for them to add colour to the picture, which just seems a bit shit, UFC. Do you know what I mean? It just seems really shit, if I'm honest. But I think it's going to go at 205. One of them weighed in at 208 pounds, and the other one was 196 pounds, is what I'm looking at for their kind of weights. And I can't figure out if that's legit or not. So my guess is they're going to be fighting at 205 pounds. I'm going to go for Philip Hawes just because I've seen him fight. Chris Curtis, like I said, was pretty much a generic figure that you get, kind of like a generic shadow you kind of get. He wasn't even a real person. So I'll go for Philip Hawes. I'm not sure how. It's a pretty dead call of a fight, really, because I don't know much about either fighter. So it's kind of... Next up on the card is Alaquinta versus Bobby Green. There's weird records for both of these. Alaquinta in his last 5 is 1-3, lost 3, 1-2. Bobby Green's on the other end in his last fight. Last 5 fights, he's 1-3, lost. He's 1-3, lost 2. So it's kind of, this is the tough one to call, and I feel, how can I word this? I feel this is a career-defining fight for each man. if I'm honest with you. I kind of feel that Quinton must be coming up to the end of his contract now. Bobby Green must be the same, with them both coming into their mid to late 30s as UFC fighters. I can't imagine there's another 5-fight contract for either one of them in the place. Maybe a 2-3 fight contract, but I can't imagine that there's another 5-fight contract up in the air for either one. So I want Quinton to win. I absolutely love Quinton. I love his New York swagger. I love his accent. I love the fact that he fought Khabib on what, 3 days notice, and honestly give him a really tough run-in. So I like Bobby Green as well. Bobby Green he's knocked out a couple of really surprising opponents in his last couple of fights. But I want Quinton to win, so I'm going to go Raging Quinton to win by 3rd round TKO. I don't know if I should have said that. I think Bobby Green's going to beat him, now that I've said it out loud. Oh, I don't know. So, last fight on the prelims, which for me is a weird one again, because it's Alex Pereira, who is 3-1, against Anders Anders Michaeladas. That's how you pronounce it. I don't know nothing about Alex Pereira. I've got a sneaky feeling that this card has been stacked up with Dana White looking for Tuesday night contender series fighters. That's my only guess at this card. And Iangary, who's got a 0-0 UFC record, and Alex Pereira, who, according to Sherdog and according to the UFC.com, also has a 0-0 record. But it's 3-1. Alex Pereira, I actually found, did have a 3-1 record, so he's won 3, lost 1. I have no clue. If anybody's got a prediction for this fight, let me know in the comments below, and I will stick money on your prediction, whoever you think is going to win this one. Michaeladas is in his 3rd UFC fight, having lost 2. No, sorry. He's in his 3rd UFC fight, having lost his debut and won the last 2 on the bounce. So it'll be interesting to see how that one sort of protrudes and ends. I'm interested to see if Pereira's got this up and coming vibe about him, and whether or not, he can pull off a shock and beat a competent, already established UFC fighter. Right, so we will skip the prelims, which I don't think will be anywhere near as good as last week's prelims. Last week's prelims were absolutely amazing, and we will jump right on to the main card. The first fight on the main card is Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Vera. Frankie has lost 3 out of his last 5 fights, but they've all been to pretty much top contenders, or to some of the best fighters on the planet, some of the people who are, usually up in that top 5, top 10 and challenging for belts. Frankie Edgar doesn't lose to people outside of the top 10. Seemingly he doesn't. I think he's going to lose this one though. I just feel that generation, 5 years, 10 years ago, when they were in their 20s, are coming to an end now, and this new generation of MMA fighters, Marlon Vera, I think, teeters on the brink between both of those, but I do genuinely think this new generation is just a little bit too good for the last generation. They're fitter, they're more skilled, not just on an individual level. Like, I think MMA fighters from 10, 15 years ago were more skilled in one discipline, but I think on an MMA level, on a mixed martial arts, I'm a black belt in judo, I'm a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I'm a Division 2 wrestler, happens more now than what used to happen 10, 15 years ago. I love Frankie Edgar. He is the person who is in my favourite fights of all time. Frankie Edgar versus Maynard 1 and 2 are both 2 of the greatest UFC fights I've ever witnessed. So it breaks my heart to say, but I've got a sneaky feeling Marlon Vera is just going to beat Frankie. I think we're a little bit past the days of Frankie Edgar being a top contender, sad to say. Next on the main card is Justin Gage versus Michael Chandler, which for me is Gage all the way. Chandler come out, he beat Michael Vick impressively in his debut fight. I must admit, it was a very impressive fight, but I think the bright lights got to Vick. I think Vick was a little bit starstruck, he was a little bit caught in the moment, he was a little bit lost to what the UFC were always going to offer in terms of the stage that they were putting him on in a co-main event, and I feel he froze a bit. Chandler having been a Bellator and a Strikeforce and a former champion in other competitions, he kind of understood and learned how to deal with that pressure. Now, not necessarily from the UFC, but how to deal with that pressure in a pressure cooker kind of environment where, you know, it's tough and it's all intense, and the expectations, the lights, the eyes of the world suddenly turn to you from fighting in smaller promotions to fighting in the UFC. Seemingly is a massive jump up. I just think Gage is too good. I think Chandler is very intense, and he's got the first round to maybe stand a chance of beating Gage. So I think Justin Gage is going to knock out Michael Chandler in the first round. I've just got this sneaky feeling in my head that is the way it's going to go. So yeah, Justin Gage to absolutely smash up Michael Chandler, and I think that might be the last we see of Michael Chandler. Sadly. So the co-main event, which leads us on to the co-main event. Let's get some run inside of bike first. Leads us on to the co-main event, which is Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili. I genuinely thought Zhang Weili was going to beat her in the first fight. I genuinely feel Zhang Weili is going to beat her in the second fight as well. I like Rose Namajunas. Followed her since she was on The Ultimate Fighter 7-8 years ago. I've been a fan of Rose Namajunas, but she's wet, man. She's such a hard person to like. Like, I want to really be a big fan of hers, but I don't know. There's something about her that always makes me standoffish of wanting to be the biggest fan. I don't think Zhang Weili was right. I do think the fight first time round was stopped at the correct time. I mean, if you go back and watch it and watch the way that she connected and watch the way that Weili Zhang hit the floor, her head hit the deck. She fell backwards and her head hit back, which in the eyes of the referee indicates she was unconscious. She'd lost control of her body. If she could have held her head up and not allowed it to touch the floor, then that would have showed a glimpse of consciousness. I think the fight was fair to be stopped at that time, if I'm brutally honest with you. But I think this time Zhang Weili will be just a bit too good for Rose Namajunas, and I feel that Zhang Weili will win it inside of 2 this time. Oh, sometimes you say stuff and then your brain goes, that's not right. That's not right. That don't feel right. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm sticking with it. Zhang Weili to win by second round stoppage, which is rare. It doesn't happen in women's fights often. Stoppages are few and far between. They haven't got the power to, I said this in my previous video, they haven't got the power to knock each other out, but they do have the power, they do have the stamina and strength to take each other's punches for 15 rounds or for 25 minutes. For 15 minutes or for 25 minutes. So it's a tough one. But yeah, I think Weili Zhang will stop Rose Namajunas inside of 2 rounds. That's my prediction for this one. And now on to the main event. Oh, I'm so excited for this main event. Like, words cannot... I do not have enough words for this. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Kamaru Usman is 19-1 and the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. Covington is 15-2 with that second defeat on his record being in the previous fight to Usman, where Usman got to a point in the fight. Now, since the fight, Colby's come out and said that his jaw wasn't broken, but during the fight, Colby suspected that his jaw had been broken by Usman. Oh man, this breaks my heart. I'm not going to give a prediction for this fight because it's too close to call. It seriously is. I know how good Usman is in rematches. Like, I know Kamaru Usman is dominant in every rematch. If you go back and watch his rematches, he's absolutely dominant. He's absolutely dominant. But Colby's a different kettle of fish. Like, Colby doesn't lose often. Colby puts in the effort. He works hard. He fights good. He's definitely his toughest test. But I do think that Kamaru Usman will win it and then potentially be in the conversation for the GOAT. I genuinely think if you look past his 19-1, if you add his Ultimate Fighter fights, 3 fights which he had on the Ultimate Fighter, he is 22-1, which I'll count the Ultimate Fighter. Fuck it. I think for argument's sake, that is very good core to put in there. It's 3 professional fights. He won each one. I'm counting it as 22-1. He has the second longest unbeaten streak in UFC history at the moment with, is it 14 or 15? Anderson Silva leads the way with 19. He's above John Jones, he's above Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's above Conor, he's above GSP, he's above whoever else you might want to add in that list apart from Anderson Silva. I genuinely think if he can beat Colby on Saturday night, that we have to start talking about Kamaru Usman as the greatest of all time. Especially if he was to jump up to 185 and defeat Adesanya as well. I don't think that will happen with them both being Nigerian, but what fight that is. Kamaru Usman versus Israel Adesanya. Get a right little chub on by Howard. But I am going to go, no, I'm not going to give a prediction for this one, but I do believe if Kamaru Usman beats Colby Covington on Saturday night, we've got to start putting some respect on that man's name and put him in that GOAT conversation. I have to put him in that GOAT conversation. So then, fuck beans and fuck nuts, let us jump over to Tuesday's Champions League results, because there were some funny results in there, wasn't it? You had Chelsea beating Malmo 1-0. Yeah, Chelsea beat Malmo 1-0 thanks to a goal from Ziyech. Wolfsburg beat Red Bull Salzburg 2-1. Kiev lost 1-0 to Barcelona thanks to a goal from Ansu Fati. That kid's going to be good. Keep an eye out for Ansu Fati, mark my words. Bayern Munich beat Benfica 5-2 thanks to a hat-trick from Robert Lewandowski. Juventus beat Zenit 4-2. Seville versus Lille ended 2-1 to the French champions Lille. Villarreal beat Young Boys 2-0. But the game on Tuesday I really wanted to discuss, and I missed out of last week's review of the Premier League, was Manchester United versus Atalanta. Man United are shit, innit they? But I'll say it, like, Man United are dog shit. Like, all the money they spent again this summer, they look dog shit. They're horrible to watch. They're shapeless. They're lacking passion. They're lacking hunger, desire. They just seem like... The one way I would describe Manchester United at the moment is damp squib. Man United are looking damp. Rubbish, crap, bullshit for Manchester United at the moment. It's not what I expected. I think with Ollie at the wheel, that ship is sinking. It is sinking so fast. It's unbelievable. Alright, they got a good result against Spurs on Sunday, which 3-0 away is always a good result. It doesn't matter who it's against and what their manager's doing, what their manager's thinking, how their manager's feeling. 3-0 away is always a decent result. But in terms of looking at the Atlanta game before that, and then the Atalanta game in the middle, and just getting rid of that Spurs game. If you took just the both Atlanta games, it's absolutely diabolical. They have to get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I do not condone any man or woman losing their job. I think it's an absolutely disgusting thing for anyone to say, myself included. I'm a hypocrite for saying it. But football clubs, slightly different entity from shop workers or, you know, whoever else you might be thinking about when it comes in terms of employment circles. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to go. Manchester United are dog shit. Which leads me over to Wednesday's games. No real shock results in Wednesday's game. You could maybe put Dortmund losing 3-1 to Ajax as a kind of shock result. I mean, I didn't see it coming. Dortmund are without Erling Haaland at the minute, meaning, you know, they probably aren't going to get that many wins. I mean, when you've got a player who's scoring 40, 50 goals a season and no one else is seemingly scoring, it is a tough one to kind of rely on others to help you get the goals that you need that are going to help you kind of do what you've got to do. So Milan drew with Porto in the San Siro. Real Madrid beat Shakhtar Donetsk thanks to another goal, 2 goals from Karim Benzema. He is looking fabulous. Not just the past sort of 6 months, neither. The past couple of years, he's looked fantastic. Karim Benzema is one of the most underrated players of the past 10 years, in my opinion. I love the man. I think he's brilliant. So another 2 goals for him. Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid at Anfield was a fabulous game. The atmosphere at Anfield is usually good on a Champions League night. It is a little bit boring, like it can be. I was listening to this woman on BBC Fighting Talk, and she said about she's had a tweet which people made her delete because she said that, you know, the atmosphere at Anfield isn't always like a Champions League night. Some nights it's like Accrington Stanley, and that's so true because, you know, not everyone's up for every Carling Cup game the same way they are for Real Madrid at home, are they? So, you know what I mean? I think she had a fair point. Man City dominated Club Brugge 4-1. Phil Foden was the star of the show again. Yeah, the kid is looking absolutely fantastic. I'm so pleased that he's English. Obviously, under 18s World Cup winner Phil Foden. Not many people do mention that. Leipzig and PSG drew 2-2, which was great. There's a clip out there of Messi. I'll see if I can find it, where he stood still for 20 seconds. PSG fans were not happy about standing still. Don't fucking stand still. Nobody likes that shit. Inter Milan beat Sheriff. Inter Milan beat Sheriff 3-1 away, and Sporting beat Besiktas 4-0 in Lisbon. So that was a little roundup of the Champions League results that have just been. I shall put more down there. I'm going to end this video by saying thank you very much for watching. That was a quick review. Please join me again on Wednesday, where I will look back at everything that we've just talked about and sort of go into everything a little bit more deeper, a little bit more in depth, and we'll talk about some of the results. So thank you all very, very much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.
This is #1 bullshit.
That's fucking illegal.